Alright, overly dramatic intro aside, yes, today is August 8th, 2012. Or it was, depending on when you're actually watching this. That means it's Review a Bad Game Day. A day where video game reviewers across the web have come together to, as you can guess, review bad games. Now, I took part in this because it opens an interesting opportunity for me. I don't generally do negative reviews. This kind of forces me to do it. I've been sitting on a game for quite a while that I really wanted to rip into. I got this game, I brought it home, popped it into my NES, and at first really thought this was going to be a really fun game. But I was instantly let down and instantly frustrated. This is a bad thing though, because that means I actually had to replay this game to review it. And I had to watch the game footage to edit it. And let me tell you, it led to some pretty frustrating and poor experiences. But let's get this out of the way. This is Kid Kool for the NES.
Kid Kool is an NES platformer made by Vic Tokai. It follows the same formula as Psycho Fox for the Sega Master System, which is an awesome game, and to Cap Attack for the Sega Genesis, which also isn't bad. Kid Kool, though, is so awful. It's just so very bad. When it starts, you get treated to this cutscene, and it's a little long, but it has some comedy, and it's well animated. It then opens with this cool little intro screen and catchy music. It tricks you right from the start. Look at that little guy run, and seem so happy. It's just a lie. The first time I saw this cutscene and happy little title screen, I was assuming Kid Kool was a well-made game. I feel so foolish. Maybe I should have known by how campy this cutscene is, but I assumed the silly comedy was a good thing. Like I said, Kid Kool is a platformer. It often gets compared to Super Mario Bros. Series, which it's nothing like. If you see someone say it's like Super Mario, they have obviously never played it, or maybe never played a Mario game. It's a terrible comparison. Just because something is a platformer doesn't mean it's like Mario. First off, Kid Kool is super fast, which as a big Sonic fan, I liked at first. I thought this would make a cool little NES game, running at top speed and jumping around as fast as I can. But this system is super flawed. It almost breaks the game completely. First off, to get running fast, you have to gain speed. You start walking really slow and get moving faster as you keep going. Once you reach top speed, you're flying and have much better jump and can clear large gaps. Now here's the problem. Kid Kool has odd spacing in its platforming, some being so tight that any speed you have is brought to a stop, and the rest is spaced out just enough that you'll skip over it at full speed, but you won't make it to the other side of the pit or water and you just die. Also, you have no way of seeing ahead of you at all, so you have no idea if you need to be at top speed to make the gap. You are always just taking this leap of faith and hoping nothing is on the other side to kill you. Okay, so you're saying just land on a platform in the middle of the pit and jump again, right? Nope. Since you have to gain speed, if you stop, your jump and speed is now crippled again. So you'll almost never just be able to land and then run off and jump to the other side. Crazy. You'll just jump short and fall into a pit. You have no idea how frustrating this can be. You can't slowly walk up to a gap and gauge the distance either, since this makes you lose speed and running ground to get back to top speed if you need to clear that gap. There's no way to win here. So the game essentially encourages you to move fast and long jump, but as I mentioned, the way the platforms are set up essentially stops this. But there's another problem, the two different sections of each level. There's a lower section and a top section, or I guess you could say a ground level and a sky level. Plenty of games do this essentially, but here's the problem. When you jump to the high section or down to the low, the game stops, loads the next part, scrolls to it, and continues. It's so jarring, it causes you to miss platforms, stop your speed, or worse, just run into an enemy. You almost want to avoid switching to a different plane, but the problem is sometimes the best way around a gap is to do so, but to get there slows you down and can put you into a bigger mess. It's an endless cycle of ways to slow you down or get you killed.
You'll just die, and die. It's so frustrating. And remember that corny cutscene and intro that I talked about earlier that I thought would make the game fun in a weird, charming way? Well, yeah. Get ready to see this one way too often.
Ugh, just shut up. I want to continue my game. The first time, this may be funny, but you see this cutscene every time you need to continue. I find myself just pressing the buttons as fast as I can in hopes it will just never appear at all. Thankfully, their infinite continues, so you can just keep trying and trying and trying. That is, if you can stomach the game long enough to do so. About 15 minutes of this game, and I'm tired of dying by simply just trying to clear a pit I can't see coming and then drowning. There's also a time mechanic to the game. You have to get all the medicine for the sick king in 3 days, and the background changes like the sun is setting. But I've never made it far enough to know what happens when those days go by, or how long it takes for 3 days to pass. Who'd want to play that long anyway? When it comes to fighting your enemies, you have 2 options: jump on them, or throw your little furry buddy at them. Unlike a Mario game, you have to jump on the enemies several times and drive them into the ground. It's annoying. Your buddy takes them out in one hit, but isn't exactly accurate and can easily skip over the baddies. At least he serves one important use, and gives you an extra hit. The poor, slow jumping or super inaccurate fast type makes jumping on enemies harder than it should be, and since most of the time you die in one hit, you'll find yourself getting a little stressed out about it. Even worse are the enemies that can just dive bomb right into you, not just fall from the sky and luckily smack into you or make it inconvenient to walk around. They're like heat-seeking missiles. I want to go into more detail about the enemies, but besides being annoying little roadblocks, there isn't much to say. The designs are pretty weird for the most part. I guess that was something to say about it.
I have little left to say, really. I want to show you more, and I want to talk about more, but 15 minutes of this game, and I just can't take much more. It's just that frustrating. Everything is just so poorly designed. The jumping mechanic, the speed mechanic, all the level design, they all get in the way of each other. There's just no way to win with this game, and the enemies are just bland and mostly just in your way. Now, I'll be a little honest, I am being a little overly harsh on the game, most likely. I mean, it does have some actually pretty decent graphics for the time, and the soundtrack is really catchy actually. I really do enjoy the soundtrack. And I have this gut feeling that if you practice, and then practiced a lot more, it actually might be a fun game. But at the same time, it's not one of those games like Super Meat Boy or Battle Kid or I Want to Be the Guy to where it's muscle memory. You have to just learn the levels. It's just one of those games you have to go back to scratch and relearn how to play just for it to maybe be mildly interesting. And that's just poor programming all around. I'm really glad they got all this right for Psycho Fox on the Master System, because it's actually one of the best platformers on the system. Alright, so I'm done with all this. I'm gonna go relax, maybe let my mind melt with some asteroids, and I'm done with Review a Bad Game Day. I hope you, though, have a happy and fun Review a Bad Game Day and enjoy all the other videos out there for it. I'll see you next time.